Okay, so let's say you're prepping for one of these cybersecurity interviews, right? And you're browsing YouTube and you find one of those videos. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
The ones with the really long titles, like they just list all these different things, like
Right.
how to pass this and you'll be a cybersecurity ninja or whatever. And, we've all been there. You see those videos promising you like a shortcut to success in these interviews. But is it really like that in the real world? So today we're diving deep into one of these videos. It's called Cybersecurity Interview Questions and Answers: How to Pass Your Cybersecurity Job Interview.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we'll see if these tips are legit or if it's just a bunch of, fluffy stuff.
Well, I think it's fascinating how this video tries to, like, bottle up something as complex as, a cybersecurity interview
Yeah.
into this kind of, like, formula, right? Like, if you just follow these steps, you're good to go. And I think it highlights how much we crave certainty,
Mm-hmm.
even in a field that's all about, like, adapting and changing all the time.
Yeah, totally. And they start off with a classic interview question, tell me about yourself. And the answer they recommend is basically, I'm a confident, fast-working team worker who thinks like a hacker. It's like the most generic answer ever.
It's true, though. I mean, those buzzwords, what do they even mean, really? It's like
Mhm.
when you see a menu that says delicious food. Okay, but like delicious how? What makes it so special? Same with thinking like a hacker. We talking social engineering here,
Mm.
penetration testing. Like, what does that actually look like in your work? Show me. Don't just tell me.
So instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'm a team player, I should be talking about like that time I helped my team fix a vulnerability before it was exploited. Give them like a specific example.
100%. Don't just repeat what's on your resume. Actually show them how you've used those skills in the real world.
Yeah.
And tailor your answer. You know. If you're interviewing at a company that really cares about cloud security, that's where you talk about your AWS experience or whatever cloud platform they use. Do your research, make the connection for them.
Right. Show them that you're not just like sending out the same generic application to 100 companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that actually reminds me of their advice for the why this company question. They basically say you should just praise the company, call them innovative or creative, which honestly feels kind of fake.
For sure. It's like if you're at one of those networking things, right, and someone comes up to you and they're just laying on the compliments.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see through it. Hiring managers are the same way. They can tell if you're being genuine. They want to know that you've done your research, that you understand what their challenges are. Like, did they have some security issue recently? Mention that. And then talk about how your skills can help them with those very specific challenges that's way more impactful.
It shows that you actually care about solving their problems, not
Mm.
just desperate for any job. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about like the personal stuff. Now the video gets into the technical stuff. They use the cyber kill chain as an example, and they walk through the 7 steps, reconnaissance, weaponization, all that. But it feels very textbook, you know?
Yeah, and that's where this advice falls apart a little bit. Like, knowing the cyber kill chain, that's important. It's foundational, but that's just the start. Anyone can memorize a definition. A good interviewer is going to want to go deeper than that. It's like knowing the steps to a dance, but can you actually dance?
So knowing the steps is one thing, but they're also looking for someone who can like actually move to the music.
100%. They want to hear how you've used those steps in the real world. Like, have you ever analyzed a phishing campaign? What about investigating malware? And be ready to talk about the specific tools and techniques you'd use for each stage.
It's like you ace the written test at driving school, but then you actually have to get in the car and like merge onto the freeway.
That's a great analogy. And this is where the advice in the video kind of falls apart. They start talking about simple steps to secure a server, strong passwords, disabling remote access, using SSL, all that basic stuff.
Yeah, it's like telling a professional chef to make sure they use salt and pepper.
Right. It's like, yeah, okay, that's important, but I'm pretty sure you already know that. A good interviewer is going to want to know that you understand the more advanced stuff. Intrusion detection, vulnerability management, SIEM tools, all that.
SIEM tools, right. For those of us who don't work in cybersecurity every day, what are those and why are they important?
So imagine a SIEM tool is like the central nervous system for your company's security. It's constantly collecting data from all over the network, looking for any little thing that could be a sign of an attack. It's not just about building stronger walls. It's like having a security guard in every room watching everything.
Okay, so way more intense than just like change your password every 90 days then, which let's be real, we should all be doing anyway.
Exactly. You got to show them you're not just thinking about the basic stuff. You understand how fast things are changing in cybersecurity.
So speaking of understanding the big picture, let's talk about the dreaded strengths and weaknesses question. The video says to just list a bunch of strengths and then downplay your weaknesses. They even gave that example of, I'm too much of a perfectionist, like that's my weakness.
Oh yeah, the classic one weakness trick. Everyone does that. But honestly, interviewers can tell when you're giving them a canned response. Being honest about your weaknesses in the right way can actually be a good thing.
So instead of pretending like I don't have any weaknesses, which nobody believes anyway, I should talk about, oh, what exactly?
Talk about something you're genuinely trying to get better at. Like maybe you're learning Python so you can automate more of your work, or maybe you're working on explaining really technical stuff to people who don't understand all the jargon.
So it's more about showing them that you're self-aware and you're always trying to grow. Okay, that makes sense.
It shows them you're committed to learning, which is so important in cybersecurity because things change so fast. And this is another thing that the video oversimplifies.
Yeah.
Incident response. They make it seem like it's this simple six-step process you can just memorize, like you're baking a cake or something.
Like incident response is as easy as following a recipe. I have a feeling it's a lot more complicated than that.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
In the real world, incident response is chaotic. You never have all the information and things are changing really fast. Plus, you've got all this pressure to fix it now. Just knowing the basic steps isn't going to cut it.
It's more about knowing like the fundamentals and then being able to adapt on the fly when things go wrong.
Yeah.
It's like they say, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy, right?
Exactly. You got to be able to think on your feet, make decisions quickly when things inevitably go wrong. And that's what you want to get across in an interview. It's easy to memorize a bunch of steps, but can you handle the pressure? Can you talk about a time when something went really sideways during incident response? How'd you deal with it? What'd you learn? Those are the stories that'll make you stand out.
It's more about showing them you can handle the real deal, not just like recite a manual somebody else wrote. Yeah, I like that a lot. So to wrap things up, it seems like this video, it's a good starting point, I guess. But
Yeah.
to really nail these interviews, you got to go deeper.
Yeah, for sure. Cybersecurity, it's all about constantly learning and improving. So yeah, use those interview prep videos as a starting point. But then actually dive into the good stuff, the stuff that really interests you. The more you know, the more confident you'll be. And that's going to come across in an interview way more than just reciting some canned answers.
Totally. This has been really interesting, honestly. We started with this YouTube video that basically promises like a cheat code to ace your interview. And now we're talking about like the real skills you need to succeed in cybersecurity.
And that's what's so great about these deep dives, right?
Yeah.
We start with something simple, but we always end up somewhere way more interesting.
100%. And to all our listeners out there, here's something to think about. We've been talking about passing these interviews, but what about actually thriving in a cybersecurity role? What makes someone truly great at their job? Think about that.
Keep learning it, keep asking questions, and keep challenging yourself. That's how you really succeed in a field like this.